Josh here. Welcome to the devlog for the game formerly known as Jumping Jehoshaphat. I'm doing something a little bit different this time. I'm actually using my webcam so you can see this ugly mug. You're welcome. But let's just jump into it. So as you can see here, not a whole lot different than what I had last week. I've got the enemies. I've added a couple platforms. But what has changed is that now there's some interaction between the enemies and the player character. Right now, with the physics-based character, he just bounces him around until eventually he'll bounce him out of the way, or the heat death of the universe, whichever happens first. But it does typically happen. It's taking a little bit longer this time. Oh, hurry up. If I stop in time, I can jump out of here. Oh, no, he got me. That's a bug. All right, let's just start that over the easy way. And if you use the controller-based character, then you get a little bit less of a crazy impact. But anyway, something else I added this week to the controller character is wall jumping. So now you can jump off the walls, which is a handy little traversal method. And you can demonstrate it here to get out of that little pit. And also, I've added switches and doors. Now, the doors don't actually do much, but I've got the door there, and as you can see, nothing's happening. But if I come up here and touch the switch, oh, the door opened. So now you can see at the bottom of the screen, it says triggers, door.trigger. And that tells me that the character is standing in front of the door that is opened. So now I can add the code for when you go through the door. But let's get into some technical details on that. So basically what I'm using here in the level editor is I've got markers. This marker is for the door switch, and this marker is for the exit. Now what you don't see is you don't see the sprites or anything like that. And the reason for that is for gameplay specific things. I wanted to have a method that I could easily add gameplay specific things without having to add interfaces to the level editor. So the way I do that is I use markers. Markers are, the player characters, nothing interacts with markers. These are just placeholders to tell the game itself, the engine, when it loads the level, that something should go here. So I've got where I want the enemy walkers, I've got the player spawn, and each marker has an enumerated list of what it could be. So right now I just have player spawn, exit, the door switch, and batteries, which isn't in the game yet, and then enemy walkers. So I can add new marker here. Let's just add a new marker, and I'll make him an enemy walker. And now when I start the game again, there's a walker there. So what I do in this case is when I find the exit marker, I add the sprites to the level for the door that's open and the door that's closed. I add a trigger where the door area is, and I disable the door open sprite and the trigger. And I do something similar with the door switch. When I encounter this marker, I add the two sprites, one for the switch being on, one for the switch being off. And then I add a trigger area so that when the player enters that trigger area, it sends me a collision. And then when that trigger collision is detected, I then flip on the sprite for the exit door open, turn off the door closed sprite, and I enable the trigger. So that way you can have multiple door switches. Because I can add info to the door switch, just any arbitrary text I can add. I can indicate if I want multiple doors, which switch does what. I could have walls that disappear when you hit a switch. Pretty much anything gameplay wise can be added through markers. And because you can name sprites and colliders, you can easily reference them. If I want to have a wall here with sprites in a collider, I can then just change this info to reference what the names it should disable. That's just one example of what I can do. So it's pretty versatile. It's not extremely user-friendly for, say, level designer or whatnot, but for a single developer game, it's fine. I will be enhancing this as I go. However, I just wanted something functional for Ludum Dare, which is this weekend, and I am super hyped about. But anyway, just to show a little bit of the gameplay, I added the actual Ludum Dare 39 entry levels that I had in the original game with the new engine. Now, if you're familiar with the game, there's no batteries implemented yet, and there's no jump count restriction or anything like that. I don't have the darkness or anything like that. I just have, you know, the functional levels. So I'll play through a few here just to demonstrate. I've been working on improving the interface of how this works. You'll notice when I move the arc up here, the camera follows it. That helps you find your target easier. You've got to cross over the switch and then find your way to the door. On my way to the door. Let's try one more. This one's a little bit more challenging. But it's a simple game, it's simple gameplay. I'm just trying to make it feel pretty similar to the Ludum Dare game as far as the jump distances and the bounce distances and the collisions and things like that. The collisions are much better in this game. There's no, as far as I can tell, no longer any collision bugs. But the bounces and the distance and everything seems pretty close. But anyway, excuse me, I think I'm going to call it there. Thanks for watching. Ludum Dare is this weekend. I will not be streaming like I did last time. The 48 hours just isn't enough time to get everything done, and being slowed down by streaming just, I don't think it's worth it. So, but anyway, I will hopefully have another devlog next week. Maybe some interesting progress. We'll see. But thanks for watching, and until the next video, see you later.